Right. Good morning. You're welcome to another session of Microsoft Excel class. Last class we talked about. I remember we talked about relative reference, absolute reference in Excel. We It was said that relative reference is a cell that has no dollar value. A cell that has no dollar value that is free, otherwise known as a free cell. Then the absolute reference is a cell that, or absolute reference represents a cell that has the dollar value. That is a cell that is fixed or locked. And I gave examples, an example, I gave a particular example last week of how to use the absolute reference. I hope you've gone through the videos. If you go through the videos, I'm sure you will understand. If you don't understand, don't forget to ask your questions. So today we are going to be looking at another thing. We're going to be looking at some topics. So we're going to start with using the AutoSum command. Using the AutoSum command. I think the last we had a class last week and we talked about basic calculations in Excel, if you remember. So we want to look at in relation to the basic calculations in Excel. We want to look at how to use the AutoSum command in Excel. So now let me show you how to use the AutoSum command. The AutoSum command simply means you want to sum a range of values without going through without you writing the formulas. You just want a command that will give you the sum instantly. Like I said earlier, it's important for you to know shortcuts and commands in Excel so that you can do your analysis very fast. Okay, no one wants to waste time while you're doing analysis. You want to do it very, very quick and fast. So, AutoSum using the AutoSum command is another way, is a way of summing up your values very quick. All right. So, how do you do the AutoSum command? Now, let's assume. Look at this data set. Now, let me just delete this. All right. Now let's assume I want to sum up these values, the values in January. Okay, all the bills in January, all the bills that was accrued in January. So I want to sum it up using the auto sum command. Now go to your tab section, section. Now go to the formula bar or the formula tab. Okay, click on the formula tab like I've done. I hope you can see that. Click on the formula tab, then go to the auto sum here. The formula tab has about four subgroups. There's a subgroup. The first one is known as functions, function library. The second one is known as the defined names. The third one is known as formula auditing. The fourth one is known as calculation. So in this first subgroup, rather, the function library, under the formula tab, just click on AutoSum. Now, before you click on the AutoSum, remember to select the cell where you want the AutoSum to be imputed. Now, this is where we want the AutoSum to be imputed, this cell, on just in the column, in this January 2019 column. So make sure you select that cell first before you click on this. Now, what you do here now, you are going to click on this. Once you click on it, it automatically selects the range of cells you want to sum. Can you see that? Equals to sum into bracket F4 to F10. Did you see that? Instead of you writing this, the last, I think the first class, that we had. I taught you how to use the sum. I mean, how to do your basic sum. And I remember I taught you that anytime you want to start a calculation in Excel, you start with the equal sign. Remember, this is exactly the formula we wrote. Okay, this is how I taught you to do the sum. Now, instead of you writing all this by yourself, just go to the formula bar, formulas bar, or formulas tab, click on auto sum, and it will give you the exact formula. So, what you do is just click on enter, and that's it. You have your sum. You see that it's so easy and very quick and very fast. I mean, you can do the same for now. If you click on this, there's if you check this auto sum icon, there is a an arrow beneath it. Just click on that arrow. You see, we have sum, average, count, max. Max refers to maximum. Max refers to the maximum value in any cell range or in any data set. Min refers to minimum. And more functions, we have more functions. That means you can do the auto sum of all kinds of functions. I mean, the auto, or rather, you can easily do any calculation using this button instead of having to write the formula yourself. I hope you got that. Okay. Another thing I want to point out is there is a shortcut for the auto sum. Okay. Instead of summing the values yourself using the formula or clicking this, there's a shortcut you can use. The shortcut for auto sum is Alt and equals. Alt and equals. Let me type that down for you to see. Alt equals. So use both. So did you get that? The shortcut for the auto sum is Alt and equals. You click on Alt. You click on Alt and equals at the same time. Now let's do that. Let me cancel. Let me delete this. So put your cursor on this column, and click on Alt and equals. Did you see that? It instantly selected the values to be summed and inserted the formula. So click on Alt and equals, then enter. So that's another way. That's the shortcut for the auto sum. Another thing I want to talk about is moving a data set from a location to another location. Let's take, for example, you want to move this data set. You see, you want to move this data set from where it is to maybe somewhere around here. You want it to start from column A. You don't want it to start from column E or something like that. So what you do, just watch me. Let's select this whole data set. Remember how to select. You select any part of the data set, then click on Control A. Okay, so you selected the whole thing. Now keep hovering your cursor. You keep hovering your cursor to the edge of this data set until this until the cursor becomes, or rather until you see a cross sign with arrows on the edges. Did you see that? Now this is a cross sign, but this is not what we're talking about. You keep hovering your cursor until this one appears, until this cross sign with arrows at the edges appears. Then when you see that, you click and drag. Okay, did you see that? Did you see that? Then you drop it. That's it. I hope you got that. Now, this one, remember our last class, I taught you how to rectify this. If you see this sign, it shows that this column is too narrow. So you just drag like that until it appears. Now let's do another thing. I want to teach you how to hide and unhide rows and columns. How you can hide and unhide rows and columns. All right. Now, if you want to hide, let's do the columns first. If you want to hide a column, for example, probably you want to make a presentation in your place of at your place of work or in your school or whatever. If you want to make a presentation and you don't want to show all your data set, so you can hide some parts of your data set, some parts of your data. Now, let's take for example, you want to hide this percentage, this column for percentage. Okay, you don't want them to see the percentage. You want them just to see. You want them to just see the all the bills apart from the percentage. So what you're going to do there, you select this percentage column. Now, how do you select this column? Hover your cursor around, on top of the column. Hover your cursor on top of the column and click. Okay, you've selected a column. So you click, the right click and scroll down to hide. Okay, can you see that? That column is hidden. The percentage column is hidden. Now, if you want to unhide it, you finished your presentation and you want to unhide the column. You want the column to come back. How do you do it? Now, you keep hovering your cursor on around the column until it bifurcates. Did you see that? Now, this is the cursor. Hover it around the side until it bifurcates. Then you click and drag. Okay? That's it. Your column is back. Okay. Another way you can do that is this. You can also hover your cursor around this until until your cursor bifurcates. You know what I mean by bifurcates? Until you see this double lines on your cursor like this. So you now, after you've once you've seen that, you right click, scroll down to unhide, and that's it. Your column is back. All right, you do the same thing for your rows. If you want to hide a part of the some part of the, or maybe a row, a particular row or two rows, whichever. Let's assume that I want to hide this total row. Okay, I don't want them to see the total yet. So I want to hide this total row. So I'll just click on this row just by the edge, and it will highlight the whole row. I'll right click on hide. It's gone. If I want to unhide that row, I'll do the same thing that I did on the column here. I'll hover my cursor until the cursor bifurcates. Okay? Then I will drag it, and it comes back. If I want to do it another way, I will hover my cursor until there's a bifurcation. If there's no bifurcation and I just hover my cursor like this and I right click, nothing is going to happen. The bifurcation tells you that it is ready to unhide that row. So when you hover your cursor and you see a bifurcation, like you can see now, you right click and you click on unhide, and it's going to unhide that row. All right, another thing I want to talk about is moving your worksheet or copying your worksheet from the present location into another worksheet or another workbook. There are some times you want to, in order to stay organized you want to move the data in your worksheet into another worksheet or into another workbook. You understand? So let's see how to do that. For example, this is a work. I'm going to give you. I have to send you this workbook so that you can practice with it. All right. Or if you have any workbook, if you have any Excel workbook, you can do the same thing I'm doing here. Okay. So this is, remember I taught you how to name a workbook and a worksheet. Okay. A workbook has several sheets. This is a worksheet that we are. The name of the worksheet, we are on a worksheet presently. The name of the worksheet is similar. And the name of this workbook is Practice New. Okay. So if you want to move this worksheet into a new workbook, an entire you want to move the entire worksheet into a different workbook. What you're going to do there is you hover your cursor on this on the bottom part of this worksheet, right click, scroll up to move or copy, click on it. Now there are two sections here in this dialog box. Okay, the first section is, the first section reads move selected sheets to book column. Here it's saying which book do you want to move it to. So you click on this arrow down button and you choose the book you want to move it. You can choose to move it to a new book, that's the first option, or choose to move it to an existing workbook that is opened on your laptop. Okay, it's showing me these two workbooks, Project Management Dashboard version 1 and Practice New. It's showing me these two workbooks because they are the two workbooks that are presently opened on my laptop. If I open another workbook, it's going to be displayed here. Okay, so let's choose new book. So click on that. Now, the second section says before sheet. Now we're going to do that after this. You understand better now soon. So we have chosen that Excel should move this worksheet into a new book. Now, before you click OK, there is a checkbox. There is a checkbox here. You need to check that box if you want to retain that worksheet you are moving. This is what I mean. If you don't click on this checkbox, if you don't check this box, it is not going to retain this worksheet on this workbook. But we want to retain this worksheet on this workbook. Okay? That is, we want this sheet to move into a new workbook and we want it to remain here. All right, so check that. Okay, then click on OK. Instantly, did you see what happened? A new workbook has been opened. Can you see? This is book 2. A new workbook has been opened and this is the only worksheet here. Did you see that? So that's how to move to a new workbook. Let me just close this. I don't want to save. Don't save. Can you see that? This is our previous workbook. The worksheet is still here. The data is still here. Now let's go to the second option. Excuse me. Remember, the first option was to which book? Okay. So the second option says or reads before sheet. Do you want to move this worksheet? It's asking you, where do you want to move this worksheet? The location inside this current workbook that you want to move this worksheet. So there are 1, 2, 3, there are about I think 7 or 8 worksheets in this workbook. So it's asking you before sheet, the first option reads monthly budget chart. Now, if you scroll, okay, sorry, because this is opened, it's not going to. These are the worksheets. All these are the worksheets in this current workbook. So it's asking you which sheet do you want, which location do you want to move it? Now, if I choose, let's say I choose this, these are the names of worksheets, like I told you. Let me choose this smart art examples. Now, this is it. This is the worksheet here. So if I choose this, that means this worksheet is going to come before this sheet. Now let's see that. Let me check this, create a copy. I want it to remain here. So now, did you see that? It was moved, the worksheet has been moved before these smart art examples because that was the location we chose to move this sheet. I hope you got that.